Got it. What if somebody is a little bit newer to the business and let's say they don't have a $3,000 marketing budget or a $7,000 a month marketing budget? What would you say to that person looking to build the business with your strategy, but do it in a way where it's less money out of pocket?
Okay, so I would tell everyone anybody can afford $250 a month, right? So most of my students, they start with around $250 a month and they start taking videos and then...
Hi, everybody. Jose Luis Morales here. Welcome back to another episode of the Residual Real Estate Agent Show. Today, we have the one and only Christa Mesore from Discovery Bay. Today, she is going to teach us how to sell 100 homes a year as a real estate agent. Just a little bit of background on her. In her peak year as an individual agent, she sold 169 properties. You heard it correctly, 169 properties. Welcome to the show, Christa. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Jose. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate it. This is going to be fun.
I'm excited as well, too. So for our viewers that don't know who you are, who is Christa Mesore? And then how did you get involved in real estate? And then how was it that you were able to sell 100 plus homes a year?
So I was a real estate agent for 17 straight years. And before that, I was a teacher. I got into real estate kind of out of desperation because I had to. And I've just, early on, I sold 69 houses my first year in real estate by just trying to be as different as possible and stand out. Also, I had two little girls at home that I had to take care of, so it was kind of a must. And pretty much every year thereafter, I was in the top 1% of realtors nationwide. My best year, I sold 169 homes as a solo agent. And when I left real estate 6 years ago to be a coach, I had sold 154 homes that year.
I love it. I love it. So let's get right into the topic. If an agent wanted to sell 100 homes a year, and for our viewers, maybe don't know this, the average agent, I think, sells anywhere from 3 to 4 homes. So to go from 3 to 4 to 100, there's obviously a roadmap there. What would you say that roadmap is in order to sell 100 homes? Where do you start?
So first, I would say I think some people will hear 100 homes and it seems kind of beyond their reach. So let's just say if you want to do more business, let's just say right now you're selling 2 or 3 homes a year and you want to do 10 or 12, or if you're selling 20 or 30 homes a year and you want to do 50 or 60. I think it's very, very possible. And what I did was I always tried to figure out how I learned that being a marketer was the most important aspect. If I wanted to be a top producer, I had to be a marketer. And it didn't really matter. As important as it was who I know, what was more important was who knew me. So when I was a real estate agent, I made it to be almost impossible for anybody not to know who I was in real estate. And I think that's like key is how can you utilize innovation in marketing to position yourself as different than your competitors, because realtors are a dime a dozen, not to be mean, but we're taught to do the same things: open houses, door knocking, cold calling, shopping carts, postcards, right? So how can you position yourself as different to where when anytime somebody thinks about real estate in your community, they think about you? And that's pretty much what I did from the early onset of my career all the way until the end. And I'm going to date myself, Jose. But when I first started in real estate, people were doing like black and white flyers if they listed a house, if they even would do a black and white flyer, like a 1-page flyer. So way back in the day, I would do a 4-page colored brochure. I would take a CD and put a CD on the sign with like a label on it with like 50 pictures on it. And I did that instead of just doing like a 1-page black and white flyer. So I was always trying to find how can I do different than everybody else. And that always helped me sell more than everyone else, because people are looking for uniqueness, I believe, in real estate. And I think that most people are just doing the same thing. And so that's why commissions are negotiable. And that's why people always want to get people to lower their commission, because everyone's doing the same thing. But if you can be different, then commission doesn't really become a question.
I love it. I love it. So what did you do for prospecting back in the day? Obviously, you want to make sure that everybody in your community knows you. What did you do for lead generation?
Okay. So I do a strategy that's called attraction-based marketing. All right. So way back in the day, and this is so much easier to do now, but when I got in real estate, I had to market on Comcast. So I just spend a lot of money putting myself on Comcast and doing commercials. I paid, I think it was $6,000 for like a 30-second commercial way back when. And I took that commercial and I put it on Comcast, which is the local television. I took that commercial and I put it at the movie theaters. And so I just basically got people to know who I was by marketing to them, right? And so then they got to know me, not just a cheesy picture of me, holding up a sign or like just sold, but actually video content back when nobody else was doing it. And it quickly elevated my authority. And then on top of that, then I made sure I was on the buses and I did all of that. Now that was 21 years ago, right? Well, 22 years ago, when I got into real estate. But now you can do the exact same thing for pennies to the dollar. So if I was a new agent or I was somebody who wanted to sell more houses, I would start creating as much local hyper-specific content as I could about the local community, utilizing video. I would take that content and make sure that it was high value, it was entertaining, it solved problems. It wasn't about me, but it was about what was happening in the area, the community, local events, anything and everything to do, and market stats, both local and nationally. I talk about the interest rates and how the interest rates are affecting buyers and sellers and how you can do it. I talk about the pains and the problems that buyers or sellers are going to. And I just create as much content about that with video as possible. And then I would run ads on social media. So for me, my favorite platform has always been Facebook. I'll run Facebook ads through the ads manager account and I'll target my local area. And then I will retarget. And what that means is somebody will watch one video. And if they watch a certain percentage of that video, likeliness is that they're interested in that subject. So then I'll retarget them, which means I'll put more content similar to the original content they first looked at in front of those people. And I'll just keep doing that until eventually they raise their hand and ask to work with me. So it's more of an attraction-based marketing. I never really did door knocking. I did it a couple times when I first started. And, I got tired of doing open houses. So I realized really early on that I wanted to be a listing agent. And I did that by being a marketing agent.
It's so funny. Whenever I saw the book title, How to Sell 100 Homes, the way that I sold 100 homes was direct prospecting, meaning calling expires, calling for sale by owners, calling probates, calling for rent by owners. That was the first thing that came to my mind. But I'm really intrigued on this topic because it's the complete opposite approach of what I did. So let's say you are running Facebook ads, right? Like, who are you targeting? Are you targeting an entire city? Are you targeting specific demographics, behaviors, and interests? What are you targeting on social?
So Facebook knows more about us than we do. In fact, there are so many data points that they look at. It's been said that Facebook can tell a woman is pregnant before she knows she's pregnant based upon her behavior. Like their algorithm knows when you stop, what you look at, what you're interested in, who's talking to you, who you're talking to. They know everything about you, right? Mm-hmm. So it used to be where, in fact, and Facebook has changed. So now there's something called a special ad audience, which means that you can't do like a specific 3-mile radius. In fact, you have to do a 15-mile radius. But depending on the content that you're putting out there and who's interested in it, it can start to kind of do more local targeting than you would believe. But think about it. So for example, I live in a city called Discovery Bay, and adjacent to that city are about 3 other cities. And it's probably about like a 10-mile radius total, right? No, probably like 20 miles. But I like to focus on one city. So what I'll do is I'll target a city, which is Brentwood. I used to live in Brentwood. I don't target the city I live in right now. And I would make sure that all of my content was specific to that city. And you would be amazed at how many people you can reach. So for example, you can get like hundreds of thousands of people to see your content. You can get hundreds of hours of watch time. So on any video that I put out on Facebook, we average like 500, 600, 700 hours of watch time, thousands of engagements, because I'm targeting hyper local specific content to a community. And research shows that the more your content speaks directly to a certain person, like I'm talking directly to you, the more likely I'm going to watch and the more likely I will convert. And so like right now I market to realtors across the nation, and it's very expensive because I'm targeting across the nation. But when you just target in your specific city, it's like you can reach people for like pennies, like pennies, 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 and they can keep seeing you over and over again. So the goal is to create hyper local specific content to target people local in your city, right? And then you are going to show up in their feeds where they're looking, so they start seeing your face over and over again. And research also shows that the more somebody sees you, the more likely they'll click and the more likely they'll start to like you, right? So the idea is you start showing up in their feeds where they're at. They're on social media. They're on Facebook. So I'm going to be doing a type of marketing that's interruption based, but because it's high value and high local specific content, it doesn't seem like it's interruption based marketing. It's not like, hey, come look at me, download this, join my seminar. It's a, hey, here's what's happening in your neighborhood. Hey, here's a new restaurant. Hey, here's a new community park. Hey, here's what's going on this weekend. Hey, here's what's happening in the real estate market in XYZ neighborhood. And when content is very hyper local specific, people are interested in it, right? So then they start watching it and then they feel like they get to know you. That's attraction based marketing. So what's happening is when you do this and you do it consistently, when you show up to a listing appointment or with the buyer, it's not like it's a cold lead. It's like it's a warm lead. The person feels like they know you. So you said, Jose, that you did a lot of like reverse prospecting, cold calling, withdraw, expired, and all that. Believe it or not, when you do this marketing in this way, in conjunction with that, your marketing becomes a lot easier because people feel like they know you. But even better is when you create content that's solving a problem, speaking directly to somebody about the real estate market or their community or their neighborhood, talking about everything like hyper local, people start reaching out to you. It's a whole different type of marketing because they're coming to you instead of you going to them.
How long are these videos?
It all depends. So every video is done for a different purpose. So I call it top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. So sometimes top of funnel is a video that's just say that I'm talking about the whole market, what's happening with interest rates in a particular city, right? And I'll say, hey, how are interest rates affecting Brentwood, California? 94513 right now. And then I'll talk about it. And that video, typically, if I'm top of funnel, when I'm going after cold traffic, it's going to be a quicker video, high value. And the more that somebody watches that, then I can start directing them to the next video, which could be a little bit longer, again, high value. So, there's no research right now shows that the shorter the video, the more watch time. People's attention is very, very, it's very short. In fact, it says it's like 6 seconds. It's like a goldfish right now. So we need to create high quality content that's very valuable, that's fast, but people will binge watch when they're really interested in something. So for example, let me kind of back it up a little bit. So one strategy, which is what I'm talking about right now, we were able to secure 48 closed transactions in 12 months. Now we closed more than that, but we were able to directly identify 48 closed transactions of sellers with this exact method. We would create listing videos talking about listings, okay, like what's happening in the market, like seller tips, okay, all right? We would address a problem in the market. So for a long time, the problem in the market for sellers was, I want to sell my house, but I'm afraid if I sell, I'm not going to be able to find a replacement property. So instead of saying like everybody else, it's a great time to sell, duh, everyone knows that, right? We would say, hey, are you thinking about selling, but you're afraid to sell because you're afraid you won't be able to find a replacement property? Well, listen up. This video's got 3 things that you can do to make sure you find a replacement property, right? Then that person watches that video. Then anybody that watches 50% or more of that video, I'm going to retarget another video about seller tips, right? And then so you do that 3 times. Video, video, video. Then I say, hey, if you'd like to learn more about, if you'd like to get a market analysis of your home, go ahead and fill out this form. So when somebody watches 2 or 3 videos about selling, chances are they're probably thinking about selling. It's either in their mind now or in the back of their mind, they don't really know they are. So then when I ask them if they like a market analysis, they're so much more likely to raise their hand and say, yes, I'd like a market analysis because of what I did prior. It's called the pre-frame, right? And research shows that what you do prior from moving customers from being a cold to a warm to a hot customer absolutely changes the outcome. So I could have started with, would you like a market analysis? Chances are that most people aren't going to say yes because they don't have a reason to say yes. But if I can give the pre-frame is, here's information about selling. I'm watching a video. Now, would you like a market analysis? And they're like, yes, I would. Well, now let's take this one step further. So somebody raises their hand. They say they want a market analysis. Now I say, great. If you'd like a more customized, detailed market analysis, if you just give me a little bit of information about your property, tell me about your upgrades. Do you have how old is the house? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Any of that, then I can give you a more detailed, customized analysis. Okay. So now they're saying, okay, yes, here's a more customized, detailed analysis. They're giving me their address. Then I can look their address up, obviously the tax records. Then I can go on my Zoom. I can pull up an MLS, the MLS comps of the house. I can share my screen. I can do a 2-minute tops, quick little evaluation of the property, email that to them. Now, in conjunction with that, we have like a 9-step process where we will say, okay, they've requested a market analysis. I'm going to do the video, send them the video. Now I'm going to drop off a seller guide. I'm also going to drop off, I'll show you an example right here. Oh, is it here? I'm going to drop off a copy of my book, it's not here. Copy of my book, like what to sell, what to expect when selling in XYZ neighborhood. Then I'm going to send a 17-minute marketing video to them. Then I'm going to show them client testimonials. Again, this is all like a process in a CRM. And then I'm going to send them examples of past marketing. I can send this to them now via their email because they've given me their email address. I can also target all that information on Facebook through retargeting ads. So that strategy is exactly how we sold 48 transactions just from a Facebook ad, right? Which started from informational videos and retargeting people, more informational videos, and then asking if they'd like a market analysis.
How much does it cost with that strategy? How much did it cost to generate a seller lead on average?
Okay, so I have this data, and it's been a while. So I typically spend around $3,000 a month on Facebook ads. Okay, now that one strategy it resulted in $748,000. So $748,000 in real estate commissions from those 48 transactions. All right. Let's just say I double that. Let's just say I spend $6,000 a month, which is $72,000 a year. Just from that one strategy, we did over $700,000 in commissions. Okay. Now, again, we sold more.
10x.
So, because it's not just about, but it's not just about that. I mean, it's about, so like a lot of people will say, well, what exactly, you're running this ad. What was the cost per lead? What was the cost per acquisition? Well, really, you cannot answer that question. And here's why. Because when you are doing informational based marketing, right, and you're targeting and you just constantly show up in people's feeds, people are watching you for a significant amount of time. They're referring you to their friends because they're seeing you as the go-to trusted resource and you're giving somebody information. So just because you can't say like that lead, we were able to target 48 transactions from that. But I mean, we sold over 100 transactions that year, right? So we knew that it's more than that, right? So I love that question. It's such a good question. But when you do this the right way, you can't really, people will just be like, oh my God, all of a sudden I'm blowing up. Like I'm selling more real estate than I ever have. I went from selling, 20 deals to 70. It's because of the compound effect of all the marketing. And just because someone didn't click on an ad or give you their contact information, it doesn't mean that they're not following you or binge watching you or referring you to their friends. That's what we find.
How do you make it so that you're targeting sellers versus buyers? Is it just based on the content that you're producing, that meaning sellers are engaging with that content, or are you doing something on the background where you're only targeting like homeowners?
So you used to be able to do that. Used to, like in Facebook, used to say like, who's most likely to sell, right? Who's most likely to buy? And they used to be able to tell that based upon their, like what they were doing on the back end. So for example, if a consumer is going to YouTube a lot, or Home Depot, and they're watching a bunch of home repair videos, then Facebook's analytics say this person's more likely to sell because they're watching 27 videos on selling or home improvement or whatever it might be, right? Well, they took that away. So now it's just based upon creating content. Like the more that you speak directly to someone, the more you'll convert. So let me just give you a stupid example. All right. I have fake hair. I've got fake extensions. And so anytime I see like how to make your extensions say, or I have like I have fake teeth, my teeth fall out all the time. So if I see something about like veneers, I'm swiping right. But if it's like hair club for men, you, Jose, might be clicking on that because you're a guy, you've got nice hair. So Facebook can tell what content you're watching, and then it will put more of that type of content in front of you. So if you're listening to this right now, which you are if you're still here, tonight when you get home, go when you're laying down with your partner, look at their feed on Facebook and see what they get, and then look at your feed. Okay, my feed is all about like marketing, real estate, cooking. My husband's is like dirt bikes, racing, auto stuff. It's all about mechanics. It's nothing to do with anything that mine does, because Facebook knows what my husband's interested in, and it knows what I'm interested in, and it puts more of that content in front of you. So when you run ads through the ads manager account through Facebook, it will be able to target better than you ever can, because it learns the behavior of the consumer on the other end.
Got it. What if somebody is a little bit newer to the business, and let's say they don't have a $3,000 marketing budget or a $7,000 a month marketing budget? What would you say to that person looking to build the business with your strategy, but do it in a way where it's less money out of pocket?
Okay, so I would tell everyone, anybody can afford $250 a month, right? So most of my students, they start with around $250 a month, and they start taking videos and then running reach campaigns or video view campaigns or engagement campaigns, right? What that is that's an objective on Facebook that says, okay, I want you to take this video and put it in front of as many people as possible in my community. I want you to take this video and I want you to go after people that like to watch videos. That's the video views objective. I'm going to take this video and I want you to put it in front of as many people as possible that will engage with it, like, comment, or share, right? You're literally telling Facebook what you want. So you're telling Facebook to take these videos that are high value, high education, and you're saying, put this in front of people in my community so that they see me. And if you're saying, I don't have $250, I'll tell you, get out of the business, because honestly, it's a business. You have to treat it as such. And whether or not, with any business in the world, there has to be some form of investment. And if you talk to any business in the world, they'll tell you that marketing and innovation is the backbone behind getting a business out there. That is why big brands like Google and, HubSpot and all these things, they spent $7 million to have 30 seconds to advertise during the Super Bowl, because they understand how important marketing and brand awareness is. So I would tell you, skip the coffee, skip, a couple of dinners, nights out, spend $250 a month. Sorry, my nose is itching right now. I got like what of this allergy. Take this content, pay for attention, pay for exposure. Attention is currency. Attention will equate to money. Spend $250 or even $100 a month just taking your content and making sure it actually gets seen, because you can create organic content all day long. It's very important, right? Marketing on YouTube is very important, because people go to YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google, so they're linked. And it's very important to create content that people are going to go and do for free. But if you want to pay for speed, you want to put a marketing budget behind your videos and behind your advertising.
How long does it typically take to convert like one of these leads?
Well, the National Association of Realtors, they say it's like 11 months ish, right? Like it takes around 11 months from the time a buyer starts thinking about something until the time they're ready to take action. So what I'll tell you, it all depends. It depends upon timing. Am I putting my content in front of people that are ready, right? Am I continuing to stay top of mind? We have people that will get results in 30 days. Some take 9 months. I mean, it just depends upon how consistent they are, how valuable the content is, and are they just doing it enough? The biggest mistake that I see people making is they just stop too soon because they don't see immediate results. And you have to think about something. Somebody all of a sudden just doesn't one day say, I'm going to sell a house. It's not like, you want to go out, Jose, and buy a pair of glasses. You go out and buy a pair of glasses. You're not like researching it and thinking about it. You feel like, it's sunny outside. So, you're going and you're buying a pair of glasses. It's not like that with real estate, right? People they're consuming, they're binging, they're researching, they're analyzing, they're collecting all this data. So it just depends upon, is that data getting in front of the person at the right time? If somebody doesn't know about you and they have to ask, hey, I'm looking for a real estate agent, you're too late. Your job is to make sure that people know about you well before they're ready to take action, and that they know about you. If they're not ready to take action, they can refer you to somebody who does.
Got it. If somebody already has a database, like for example, like somebody like me, like in the 13 years that I've been selling real estate, I've collected maybe about 40,000 emails in that time. Is there a way to use a similar strategy by retargeting mainly sellers? That's who's in our database. Is there a way to how would you use your strategy in combination with that?
So you can upload your email list
Mm-hmm.
into Facebook, and you can create a special ad audience, which is like you literally you're targeting. So as you start to create these campaigns, you're creating audiences, right? So
Yeah,
you're creating audience, and these audiences, they have specific behaviors. Then you can tell Facebook, create me another audience, right? A lookalike audience that
look
looks
like
similar to this. They call it a special ad audience. Get me you can't call it a lookalike audience because of all the HUD rules, right? So they changed that now. So now it's called special ad audience. But you can say, take this audience of sellers that have worked with me in the past, find me more people that exhibit behavior similar to this. Then you can have Facebook go out and hunt for more people that are similar to the people that you upload. And then you can start showing up in front of the new people they're giving you and in front of your past clients. Because all these clients that you have, I mean, it's happened to me where I'll go to, Target, and all of a sudden one of my sellers or buyers that love me is like, Christa, we're so happy you bought a house. And I'm like, oh, great, but you forgot to use me, right? It wasn't because they didn't love me. It's because they forgot about me and the opportunity came up. So my job is to make sure that I'm making it impossible for people not to forget who I am. So I'm constantly showing up in their feed, adding value. And then, of course, on top of that, doing the normal things like we as agents do, hold, client appreciation parties and put things in their mailbox so they don't forget about us, put a market analysis on their door, do everything else that you normally would do, but make sure that you're putting a digital twist to it. You want to make sure that, I call it digital location domination. You want to show up in their mailboxes. You want to show up on their news feeds. You want to show up in their audiences. You want to show up, in their neighborhood through your sign. Like, you want them to see you everywhere. And if you think about when you go out to dinner at night, Jose, it's so sad, but what is everybody doing? You go out to dinner and everybody's phones are in their hands and they're looking, I think it's so sad actually, but they're looking down at their phones and they're on social media. So the goal is for us to be showing up where people are looking, which is in their news feeds.
got it. I love it. So you have a lot of different funnels behind you, and some people may or may not know what those are. How do you build the funnel online, and how would you describe a funnel, basically? Because it looks like you're almost like the queen of funnels back there with all the funnels that you have.
Okay, so basically what I want you to think about a website is like a storefront. Okay, so when you go to a website, it's like a storefront, and when you go into that website, like there's a million different things that you can do, right? You can look at the reviews, you can search for properties, you can look at their testimonials, you can look at their marketing. Like, you don't really know why they're there. So a website is like a storefront, and quite frankly, it's very outdated. A funnel is when you drive specific traffic to a specific website for a specific thing. We're going to call a funnel like a really condensed version of a website. Okay, so here's one of the best ways to utilize a funnel is you will choose a neighborhood. And I do this for 8 neighborhoods every single month, right? So we have a funnel for a specific neighborhood. In that neighborhood, I'll have a funnel for buyers and a funnel for sellers for a specific neighborhood. And what I'll do is, if I have a listing or if a seller or buyer calls me, every month we do a market analysis that is just for the neighborhood. So we'll be like, hey, this is your 90-second Deer Ridge market update of what happened in August, right? And we'll do a quick little market report of what happened in the neighborhood. And then on that same funnel, it's everything about that neighborhood, right? It talks about places to eat, things to do. Download your Deer Ridge Sellers Guide, the census report, school ratings. The whole funnel is about a specific neighborhood. So imagine doing an open house and having a QR code that drives traffic to a highly glorified website that's only talking about everything in that neighborhood. Okay. And I have one that's for buyers and one that's for sellers. So a buyer comes in and I'm like, oh, great. Hey, if you want more information about Deer Ridge neighborhood, just go ahead and click on this QR code. And then it drives them to that funnel, AKA small website, right? Talking anything and everything about that neighborhood in relation to buyers. And
Mhm.
then you do the same thing for sellers. Now, what is this doing? Number one, it's educating the seller and the buyer. It's positioning me as the authority because I'm talking hyper local, hyper neighborhood, right? And they're getting to binge watch me. So now I'm elevating my authority. They're getting to know me, like me, and trust me. I'm breaking down their barriers. I'm showing that I'm different and unique. And I'm not just a commodity, right? I mean, I am the true expert. This is my niche, and it's going to be very, very hard to go against me. So what we do every month is we have 8 different neighborhoods that we market. And the cool thing is too, Jose, is like you can create like a video, let's just say at a sushi restaurant, and I can take that video and I can put it on 8 different funnels. It's in the same city, right? But now that one video I can put on 8 different funnels, but just add one word. Restaurants in Deer Ridge, restaurants closest to Deer Ridge, right? The Deer Ridge market report, right? How to sell or buy a home in Deer Ridge. I just change a couple words, and all of a sudden now it looks like that video that I created that could be used on 8 different funnels. It looks more hyper local. So it's the matter of creating. It's hard in the beginning to create a little bit of content, right? But then you take that content, slap it on different funnels, and then each month you just do a different market report that's specific to that neighborhood. I mean, it has been like a game changer in my business and for my students.
Got it. What about like when you're creating the video? Does the background help at all? Does the type of microphone you use help at all? Is it more like of a walking around video during a certain neighborhood that works best? What type of tips would you give around making videos?
So the first thing I would say to do is just to start, right? So, I mean, I think so many people, they get ready, they aim, but they don't take action. They're afraid of like, I got to have the perfect background. I got to have the perfect camera. I got to have the perfect everything. All you need to start is a phone. So you need a phone and you need a window in front of you so that you have nice natural light. Okay. Making sure the background doesn't have any dirty underwear or any crazy stuff in there. Right. So it's like, and sometimes you're going to want to do things like, for example, this background is very specific. I have it like, as you can see, I have it on there for a reason. I'm trying to show my authority that I know something about marketing. And if you know anything about funnels, you'll know what that is. So if I'm going after a seller in a specific neighborhood, let's just say, I might even have like a little sign about the neighborhood behind me, or I'm going to have like little houses and things that like keys and things like that position my authority. Or I'm just going to take my phone and I'm going to start creating content about the neighborhood right there in the neighborhood. And so it doesn't need to be overthought. I think the biggest issue is just starting. The biggest issue is just starting and not being worried about being perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes today. I've itched my nose 100 times. Like my dogs are, like I'm not perfect right now. I've made mistakes. I've itched my nose. Like I'm just being myself. It's a matter of just starting, being perfectly imperfect, and you can start getting better as you go. Nobody cares. Like, and I know so many people are afraid of what they look like or they sound like. If somebody going to like them, are they going to judge them? You're going to be judged either way. You're going to be judged by your coworkers. You're going to be judged by your family and friends. You're going to be judged by the community. So let's get judged by doing something that most people aren't willing to do. Let's get judged by putting ourselves out there. And as much as we worry about what we look like, what we sound like, our weight, our height, our hair, that's how we look, right? We can't go on a listing appointment or a buyer appointment and stick a bag over our head. That is who you are. So if you don't like the way you look or you don't like the way you sound, well, you might as well just jump under a rock, because if you don't like how you sound on video, that's how you look and sound in person. So it's just a matter of like getting past that fear, because the fastest way to be able to generate, like, that it's like a picture says 1,000 words. Mm-hmm. Well, a video says millions of words. The amount of information that can be conveyed through a 30-second video as compared to just this. Like, this is a book, Sell 100 Homes a Year. There's a picture of me, right? This does nothing compared to the, 30 minutes you and I have just been talking, right? Now, some people might hate me. Some people might like me, but at least I'm going to be attracting the right people. But this video is going to convey a lot more information than this cover of this book can.
I love it. What does the book do? Like, I saw you give out that book at Build event, and it was like literally in a lot of the people's desk. How does that book help in terms of the funnels?
Okay. So when somebody requests a market analysis, one of the things that we do is we drop off a book. It's called The Savvy Seller, What to Expect When Selling Your East County Home or your George and Shadow Lakes home. We change the title based upon the neighborhood, if it's one of my neighborhoods I specialize in. And we'll just drop that book off. Now, the book is not just a book that is written like a ghost book, right? Like, how to sell your house, prepare your front door. Like, it doesn't talk about the normal things that normal agents would talk about. It talks about marketing and innovation, Facebook ads, targeting, the use of video, digital targeting, geographic, farming. It talks about all the things that most agents aren't speaking of. So it tells the sellers what questions to ask when they're interviewing agents. It tells them to ask if they're an author, right? So basically, the book is an authority piece. So when you think of somebody as an author, I mean, typically, Jose, when you know somebody's an author, what do you think?
I think that they've mastered a certain subject.
Okay, they've mastered a certain subject. Exactly. So this book shows people, hey, I've mastered real estate, right? That's why we wrote books in real estate to give to sellers and to give to buyers, is we want them to understand that we are the authority, that we're the expert. And when we can hand out a book that isn't just a cheesy ghost written book, but it's an actual book that's written by me with my 20 plus years experience and my New York Times bestselling editor, and we put that in the hands of the buyer or seller, it just elevates our authority, elevates our status. It shows that we're not a commodity. Things like commission don't typically come up because we're not talking about what the normal people are talking about.
Got it. I love it. So what patterns do you notice between your students that this works right away for versus the other ones that don't?
I think, so I believe in mindset is more important than skill set, right? And I'm going to know that sounds like super cliche because all they've been talking about is marketing and, funnels and video and all that kind of stuff. But I really believe the market's in between your ears. And research shows like the neurotransmitters in our brain, they do not know the difference between what we're thinking about and actual reality. So if we're constantly telling ourselves like the sky is falling, interest rates suck, there's no inventory, no one's going to buy because the rates are so high, then that's exactly what you're going to get. So you have to condition yourself. And I've found that my students that really have a positive mindset, that work at keeping their mindset in check, that look for opportunities and not all the negative, that the opportunities come to them. And it's so huge. It's more important than even funnels or videos or anything else.
Do looks help at all? Like if somebody is more visually attractive than somebody who's not, when doing videos and targeting specific neighborhoods?
I think that information is more important. Now, I think that some people might think that, right? Like, oh my gosh.
That's why I asked it. Yeah.
Well, and here's the deal. I've heard that BS the whole time. So when I was an agent, I averaged 135 homes. If you take 2,300 homes from 17 years, it's around 135 homes a year that I averaged. And I had so many people when I was younger. I'm 52 now, but I was like 30 something when I got in the business, 30, 31. And people always said, Christa, you're successful because you're cute. And I used to say, oh yeah, you just keep on thinking that. The reason I'm successful is because I spent a lot of money learning how to do marketing. I spent money to put myself out there. I spent money to differentiate myself and to learn how to be unique. I think you feel more comfortable when you feel comfortable in your own skin. So when you feel more comfortable in the way that you look, and I don't care what that looks like, if you feel more comfortable, you're going to come across as more confident. And he who has more confidence will sell. He who has the most conviction will win the debate, right? Confidence sells, enthusiasm sells, authority sells. So I think the more confident you feel in your appearance, it helps. But more important than your appearance is your information and your knowledge. Now, some of you are thinking, well, I'm brand new in the industry. Perception is reality. You can literally go and read a great article, right? Learn about what's happening in the community, learn about something new that's happening. And you could do like 5 or 6 bullet points, put it on a whiteboard or a piece of paper in front of you and start talking about those topics. You just have to be one step ahead. I actually had a student, her name is Sue LaFave. She got voted best Beaufort Realtor of the Year before she had ever sold a house before, because she was constantly putting out content about her community. So her community voted her best realtor of the year. Now, it wasn't like most agents when they're like, vote for me, and they send the link to all their friends and family in their community. She didn't want to win because she had never sold a house, but she actually got voted from her neighbor, her community, without asking for it, as the best realtor of the year because of all of her informational content.
I love it. Um, Now, this is something that some people think about. Like, they're like, well, what if I'm not a people's person? With this strategy, does it still require that you talk to people?
I love your questions because all the things that you're saying are like everything that people think. So it really shows that you're listening. So, okay. So I'm an extrovert. I am. All right. But there's plenty of introverts that are passionate and excited about real estate, right? So you can be introverted, but excited and knowledgeable about real estate and still create highly engaging content. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you have to talk to people. I mean, as an introvert or as an extrovert, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are or aren't on video. Eventually, you've got to pick up the phone, you've got to meet face to face, and you've got to be able to have a conversation. The nice thing about video content is it's your precursor to making the conversation not seem. It's like think about when somebody knocks on your door. Okay, what's the first thing you do? Like you hide, you duck under cover, you hide underneath your couch. Like you're like, oh my God, like who is it? You're afraid of answering, you're scared. Like when my phone rings, my door rings, I literally look outside, don't know who it is. Like I'm calling my husband, did you send somebody over? Like I'm afraid to answer the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same thing when somebody calls you. Like you get a cold call, what do you want to do? You want to hang up in most cases. People are pissed off. But when somebody feels like they know you, it's like if I see you at the door, Jose, and I've seen your video content, and believe it or not, it's called a parasocial relationship. Okay. It's just like when somebody watches TV and they start to develop a relationship with the character. They cry for the character, they laugh at the character, they hate the bad guy, they love the good guy, like they literally cry, and it's fake. But they feel like they know that person because they've developed a one-sided parasocial relationship. It's the exact same way when you're creating content through social media and putting that content and positioning it so your community sees it. They start to develop a relationship with you. When I was in real estate, I could not go anywhere. And when I say anywhere, I am not exaggerating at all. I could not go anywhere without people talking to me, so much so that my daughters were always like, you're so annoying, Mom. Everywhere we go, people are always talking to you. Like, why do you have to talk to everybody? Who was that, Mom? I'm like, I have no clue. And because the people feel like they know you because they see you all the time. So it makes it be like you're talking to a friend. So I call it winning before you arrive. You're winning before you walk the front door, because if you're competing with other people and they've been watching your content and following you, you're 90% there.
Got it. Would you say that cold calling, that you'd face tougher objections with cold calling than building these types of funnels because they don't know you? Like when you're cold calling versus what it sounds to me like, it's almost like a easier conversation to have because obviously they see you all the time and they've developed somewhat that relationship with you, even if they haven't even spoken to you at times.
That's totally it. That's the whole thing. So if you are cold calling, or even if you are doing open houses, so like when I was an agent, I haven't done open house like over 12 years, 12, 13 years, because my phone would just ring.
Congrats.
That sounds, but it would. My phone would ring because I was constantly putting my content in front of people. So people would reach out to me as the authority, and I would say, hey, how'd you hear about me? And more often than not, I would get, I see you everywhere. So much so that I'm telling my brother, are you sure that's what they keep telling you, Chris? That's what they keep telling me. They see us everywhere because they do. They see you everywhere. So it isn't a cold call anymore, Jose. It's like it's a warm call, right? It's like I have heard so many times, is this really Christa? And I'm like, I don't know, is this really Jose? Like people will think that way because you kind of become like a little mini celebrity. And even let's just take this call right now that we're on, this podcast.
Yeah.
Somebody's watching us right now or just listening to us. I can guarantee you that they know a little bit more about me as a guest on your podcast after doing this for 30, 45 minutes than they have when I first started. So if I was to have called any of your viewers that didn't know me a week ago and said, hey, you want to have lunch? They'd hang up the phone like I was a psychopath. But now they're like, oh my God, you're that. I think I saw you on Jose's podcast. Sure. I'd love to. Can I pick your brain? You know, it's a different kind of a conversation. What you're doing right now through this podcast is the exact same thing that you're doing on a national level, that agents can do on a local level, much more affordable and much more like they can do it, like get in front of people much more quickly, much more easily, much more fast because it's on such a hyper local level.
Got it. What are the most frequently asked objections that you get when you're doing this type of stuff? Like, let's say you create a video, you're the neighborhood specialist, they know you, or do you even get any objections at all because they already know you?
So I thought you were going to ask that about agents. So I'm going to say what the biggest objection I get with agents are: I don't know what to talk about. Why would people listen to me? I don't feel comfortable on video, right? And so I tell them, okay, you don't like the way you look on video. That's the way that you look. You don't know what to talk about. Go and research anything. Become a reporter, right? Go, like if you go on to Chat GPT and you put up, give me 5 things to talk about XYZ neighborhood. Chat GPT will give you anything and everything you want to know for the rest of your life. Just go to Chat GPT. It'll give you scripts. It'll give you lists. It'll give you anything you need to know about your specific community, right? So that's the biggest objection I get with agents. Now, I don't get much from sellers. I mean, when I was selling, it was like it was very hard to beat me on a listing presentation, because when people called me, they already called me knowing they were probably going to hire me, because they had already made up their mind before I got to the door. And I cannot tell you, I was a top producer, right? Top 1%. So in often cases when people are hiring top producers, if it wasn't a referral, I would see other top producers. So I'd go to I can't tell you how many times I'd be going to an event and I'd be like waving at my other top producer friend on the way in or out. That's happened to you, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you show up to listing early and they're still at the door. They're at the kitchen table. They hadn't finished up yet. And more often than not, I would win because of the marketing that I was doing. The marketing that I was doing was positioning me for the win before I even got there. So not a lot of objections at all, other than I would hear this all the time, all the time, all the time. I'm saying that 3 times because I know it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but all the time. Christa, we love you. Where do we sign? Like I'd walk in, I didn't have to do a presentation because the presentation was done before I even got there, because I was driving them to my seller specific funnel, which has, 20 videos on it about contingencies, what to expect, who pays for what, commissions, like anything about selling. And people will binge watch that. Like I cannot tell you how many times people have said, oh my God, we binge watched you. Like we love you. Where do we sign? It's a whole different type of marketing. And it's one that we're not taught as agents. Number one, because we're taught how many square feet are in a mile. We're not taught like how to market, right? We're taught everything we don't need to know.
Which I think is helpful. If somebody wanted to learn this, and maybe they weren't ready to hire you as a coach, what books would you recommend? And then if they are ready to hire you as a coach, what would your coaching program include?
So they can go to read the book, Sell 100 Homes a Year, right? Sell 100 Homes a Year. Also, if you go to kristamanshore.com/Jose, kristamanshore.com/Jose, you'll be directed to a 3-day virtual event where we literally talk all about funnels, all about video, all about content, all about marketing, right? The whole 3-day virtual event is just there to show you how can you position yourself as the authority, utilizing social media and digital marketing to dominate your market, no matter if you're brand new or experienced. So that's the main thing. And I would just tell them to start there, because that's like a really good foundation. And quite frankly, without even hiring me, that would give them a lot. But by going to that, a lot of people end up saying they want more help because they realize how much they learned, and they're like, I need help putting this all together. So they'd end up like learning more about how to work with me more closely.
I love it. So Christa, I wanted or last thing, any final thoughts before we end it?
I would just say, like, don't be afraid. Like, I think the biggest thing that holds us back is our fear. Like, we're afraid, your fear is like what holds you in your comfort zone, right? And I believe once you can get past that fear, you would be amazed at how quickly attraction-based marketing, utilizing just offering value and meeting people where they're at, like it goes so far, and it's just a different way of thinking. And if you look around, like how many people are doing it in your market, there's not a lot. And if there are, they're not doing it consistently. So it's a huge opportunity. And I believe that right now there's never been a better time. And so don't let your fear hold you back, right? That's how you look. That's how you sound. Anybody can do it. Just a matter of practice makes perfect, but you cannot get better until you start.
I love it. So Christa, I wanted to say thank you for taking the time to be on the show. For our viewers out there. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you feel that this episode would help a friend, make sure to hit that shirt button. Obviously, you know where to go. Christa already gave her information. And then, Christa, thank you again. And to our viewers, until next time.